Welcome to Deep Nonsense, where we take the wildest, most out there ideas from movies and ask one simple question: could it actually happen? In this episode, we try to understand how to reduce the space between. So grab an old baseball and hope you don't get banished to the subatomic void. We're about to get shrunk.
All right. So you know those movies, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Ant-Man, that sort of thing?
Yeah. They always get you thinking about shrinking stuff, right? Just taking something and making it super small.
Well, that's what we're going to dive into today. How possible is it, scientifically, to shrink things? That's what we want to find out because, inquiring minds want to know. We're going to look at all sorts of stuff like crazy tech that's letting us do some miniaturization already to those pesky laws of physics that might just say, nope, not going to happen.
Right. Basically, we want to give everybody listening the knowledge without overloading them, right?
Absolutely.
So nobody's head explodes.
Let's satisfy that curiosity.
It is amazing to think that we're already manipulating matter at the nanoscale, which is like what, 1 to 100 billionths of a meter?
No, that's incredible. And it's not just theoretical, as you say, we're actually doing it. I mean, this is driving innovation in so many fields. I at least find it pretty exciting where we're seeing this tech, this tiny tech. Where is this making the biggest impact, huh?
Okay, well, think about your smartphone, right?
I shall.
Okay, nanotechnology, nanoelectronics, and materials like carbon nanotubes, graphene, they're making those devices smaller and more powerful. I mean, transistors, they're shrinking down to just a few nanometers and they're etched with this incredible precision using advanced lithography, which is basically using very, very fine light to draw circuits smaller than viruses.
Smaller than viruses? Okay, I
Yeah.
I must have skipped that part in the research. Well, okay, then do you think what do you think about medicine, okay? Targeted drug delivery that can actually attack cancer cells directly. So we're talking about the cell itself. We're not just talking about sort of a flood of toxins trying to wipe out all the good with the bad, right? And nanoscale imaging, so we get earlier diagnoses and tiny sensors that are monitoring your health in real time. I mean, it's mind-blowing,
It
man.
is. I mean, it is. It's mind-blowing, but what about scaling that up? Instead of just these tiny things, what if we wanted to shrink a, I don't know, a bicycle or something?
Well, this is where the physics get a little insistent, if you will. For example, the law of conservation of mass. This tells us that you can't just make matter disappear, right? So if you shrink a bicycle without actually getting rid of any material, it becomes unbelievably dense because in theory anyway, you're moving all of those that molecular structure closer together. Like imagine a bicycle the size of a little toy, but it weighs as much as a car.
Oh, wow. Or on the flip side, if you wanna keep that density the same, then it has to be made up of practically nothing.
Right. So it's either super heavy or ultra flimsy.
Oh, exactly. So, okay, what makes this whole shrinking thing so difficult?
Well, quantum effects, takes light, for example. It has what we call a diffraction limit. So if your
Okay.
eyes were to shrink drastically, let's say 10,000 times smaller, well, everything would just become like this blurry mess of a mass.
Really?
Yeah, it'd be like trying to, I don't know. Well, okay, so it'd be like trying to use a projector that's way, way out of focus, just couldn't get a clear image.
Okay, that makes sense.
So what else? We've got the uncertainty principle at the quantum level, which, well, it's sort of like trying to pinpoint both the location and the speed of, let's say, a tiny little fly at the same time. The more you know about one, the less you know about the other.
Oh, so we're talking like Heisenberg and the double split experiment. Go on.
You're tracking. You're tracking. Now, that inherent kind of fuzziness makes it a huge challenge to keep a shrunken object perfectly intact.
I see. So do materials always act the same way when they get that small?
Excellent question, Professor. And the answer is not necessarily. You see, when you shrink something, the surface area gets really big compared to the volume, and that can completely change how the material behaves. Its color, how it melts, even how it reacts. This is what I find wild, even how it reacts with other stuff. Think of powdered sugar, it dissolves practically instantly compared to, let's say, a sugar cube. It's the same sugar, just different surface area. And maintaining the strength and structure at the nanoscale, it's also really tricky because even the tiniest flaws can become big weaknesses.
So with all these challenges, why are we even trying to do this? What would be the potential benefits of going small?
Well, really, the potential is pretty revolutionary. Imagine medicine where you have microscopic robots doing surgery inside of your body without incisions. materials that are super strong and incredibly light, for making transportation more efficient. Or we could have incredibly sensitive sensors for all sorts of things, environmental monitoring, security, super efficient energy storage, ultra compact. I'm sorry, I'm getting excited. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, it actually sounds like science fiction becoming science fact.
Science fact, deep nonsense. Kind of does, doesn't it?
I mean, almost, but how do those shrinking gadgets we see in the movies, how do they stack up against like the real world stuff we're talking about? For example, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Okay. They just kind of squeeze the atoms closer together, right?
Yeah. By the way, one of my favorite movies as a kid. I loved that movie.
Oh, me too.
And I predict every time, every time Auntie died, I just wept like a child. I maybe
Hmm.
because I was, but anyway, I love that movie. So that movie basically ignores all fundamental forces that are pushing atoms apart. It'd be like trying to, force two magnets together the wrong way. They're gonna put up a fight.
Right. So what about Ant-Man? They try to be a bit more, let's say, science adjacent with their PIM particles.
Yeah, I mean, I think they at least hint at messing with molecular distances, but, still fiction.
Oh, absolutely still fiction. And even those concepts like swapping out fundamental particles, they run into problems. Like, for example, if you replaced electrons with muons, things would become incredibly unstable because muons decay in like microseconds. And shrinking things by warping space-time, well, that would require exotic matter with negative mass density, which we've never seen. Anyway, let's say we actually could shrink something like a person. What would be some of the really weird things that would happen? Well, the density changes would be insane. Imagine a human shrunk down to the size of an ant. They would have the density of a star.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and our bodies aren't built to work at that scale. Breathing, blood flow, all that stuff, it just wouldn't work.
So Hollywood definitely takes a lot of liberties with physics.
Yeah, you can say that again. Well,
So Hollywood
ant-
definitely takes a lot of liberties with physics.
yes, thanks. Well, Ant-Man tries to at least sound a little bit scientific. Both of these movies are pure fantasy.
Okay, so then here's the big question: what's the final word from scientists on all of this shrinking stuff?
Well, right now, the scientific community pretty much agrees that macroscopic shrinkage, like what we see in the movies, just is not possible with what we know about physics and technology. The fundamental laws we've been talking about, they're pretty big roadblocks. However, the incredible process we're seeing in nanotechnology, now that shows us that we're getting better and better at manipulating matter at a super small scale. And who knows, maybe one day there will be a breakthrough that changes everything.
So basically, anyone listening who dreams of shrinking down and exploring the world from an ant's perspective, that's going to have to stay in the world of science fiction for now.
Right. So you're basically, if you want to come across a gigantic oatmeal cream pie, you're just going to have to make one.
I so want to come across a
Oh,
gigantic oatmeal cream
I
pie.
used to watch that section of that movie so many times, just like because I loved oatmeal cream pies when I was a kid, and
I mean,
I couldn't.
right?
A 3-story tall oatmeal cream pie, I would have lived there. Oh my gosh. So
Oh
look,
my gosh.
we're doing some amazing things with miniaturization, especially at the nanoscale. We really are.
So it does make you wonder, with all the research into quantum mechanics and like maybe finding new forces of physics, could that unlock some crazy ways to change the size of stuff?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a good reminder that what we know about science is always changing. What seems impossible today could just be a puzzle waiting to be solved, right?
Exactly. And that's science exciting. It's one word. See what I did?
Yeah, and that's also a wrap on today's episode of Deep Nonsense. I hope you guys enjoyed diving into the nanodome, whether it's catching ghosts, building a cyborg cop, creating a never-ending candy, or downloading the ability to learn kung fu into your brain. It's always wild to see just how far fiction stretches reality. If you've got a crazy movie concept you want us to break down, hit us up. Leave a comment, send us a message with your ideas, and who knows, your suggestion might just be the next episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Your support helps us keep the nonsense going. Thanks for listening to Deep Nonsense, where we take movie magic and see if it can ever become real. Catch you next time.